I'm going to show you a way to have such an immediate impact with the contacts, recruits, and potential clients you call that within 30 seconds, you'll have them curious and interested in why you're calling. So stick around. Chuck Windish here to reveal more secrets that big billers taught me that produced for me amazing results. So we've heard it all before. We call a contact, and before we can even get our name out or why we're calling, we're getting, hold on, what's this all about? Or I'm running into a meeting, I'll have to call you back. Oh, and then there's the brush off, I'm not interested. Or worse, click. And there we are. We get nervous. We start stumbling over our words. We get frustrated. We might not even want to make another call, but that's part of our job, right? So what do we say to get that person to listen to what we know is a very worthwhile reason for them to be talking to us? Well, I'm going to share with you an amazing epiphany I had that changed everything in the way my new contacts responded to my first time calls and got them wanting to continue the conversation. By the way, I'm just getting started with this channel, so I'd really like to hear from you. What steps of the recruiting process keep you up at night? Put it in the comments below so that I can suggest a secret I learned that could help you overcome that challenge as well, okay? All right, back to your introductory call. For me, in the early stages of my career, getting past those first 30 seconds meant constantly brainstorming, trying to come up with the right words to position the services I offered, and quickly because I didn't want to get hung up on. Why so much effort? Well, I was afraid of being challenged before I could even get to introducing myself. Stumbling over my words or being caught with not having the perfect response to any questions that may be thrown at me. And what do I say to someone who tries to end the call with, I'm in a meeting or I'm not interested? So there I was, working myself into a frenzy every time I had to make cold calls, trying to come up with the perfect words that would get me in the door and allow me to explain the reason for my call. I mean, I didn't want to feel like I screwed up, that I missed an opportunity, or because I was judged as being uneducated or uninformed, an amateur. And who would want to work with an amateur? Listen, we just don't want to be perceived as someone that doesn't know what they're talking about or saying something that gives others the impression that we're not on the same level as they are, right? Well, after hundreds and hundreds of cold calls, I suddenly had a revelation that entirely changed the way I approached every first time call I made. But before I share this epiphany, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I'll be posting a lot more of these secret videos for you in the weeks to come. So subscribe, like, and ring the bell for alerts to new videos as they come out. And don't forget to leave a comment as to what challenges you. Now, let's get back to this epiphany. And here it is. I realized after hundreds of calls that whenever I make a call to anyone for the first time, the reason so many people show hesitancy or caution in the way they respond to my call is not because they're concerned about my experience or they're questioning my professionalism or because they have no interest in talking to me as a recruiter. On the contrary, their response is just a natural defensive behavior that kicks in for fear of me judging them as someone less than what they know themselves to be. In other words, they're feeling exactly what we feel. They don't want to be perceived as ill-prepared, uninformed, or incapable of handling the call in an intelligent manner. So they revert to their habit of expressing the standard remarks we've all come to expect that will most likely shut down the conversation. And this whole defensive posture forms within the first 30 seconds or so of the call, preventing us from properly introducing ourselves before these anxieties of theirs start to kick in. So my very first secret to getting past that 30-second mark is to break down those defensive barriers, or better yet, prevent those barriers from going up at all by structuring my introduction around what I know they need to hear, what information I need to give them right away to make them feel very quickly, more at ease, because they're now getting all the information they need to feel they're in the driver's seat. And they'll therefore be more willing to continue listening, which gives me more time to get to the purpose of my call. But there's a second secret that'll additionally help me to get through that first 30 seconds. I know that most people do have the same questions running through their minds, such as, who is this and what's this all about, and so on. But their thought process also works where they ask themselves these questions in pretty much the same order every time. And I can tell, because when I introduce myself in a different order than what most people need to hear answers for, I'll start getting interruptions in my introductions. Interruptions that can then lead me to become flustered and lose my train of thought. Besides, if they're interrupting, that means they're only half listening to what it is I'm trying to say anyway. Think of their brain as one of those old style Rolodexes that start to turn inside their head. Remember those? Within the very first few seconds they hear your voice, that Rolodex just starts spinning. My second secret is to design an introduction around the fact that everybody's Rolodex pretty much spins the same way, where they ask themselves the same questions in the same order almost every time. So when you script out your own introduction, remember, it's not about you proving how much you know. It's about them feeling they might not know enough to make a good impression on you. Think about what questions may be going through your contacts' minds when they first hear your voice. And think about in what order they may be wanting to hear answers to those questions. And then create an introduction that stops their Rolodex from spinning before your contacts start to want to ask those questions. Once I tweak my introduction to answer what most of my contacts would want to know and in what order, I very rarely, I mean very rarely ever, had anyone look to rush to get off the phone with me unless they had a legitimate reason. And if you want to steal my scripting, what I use, what I call my perfect introduction, then click on the link in the notes below and I'll send you exactly what I say word for word. It's free. It's on me. Try it and see what a difference it makes on your desk activity. And I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to check it out.